My mission that I have chosen to accept is to change the Hall effect sensor in under an hour, cutting no corners. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another Mr. Betabyte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as I need to change the Hall effect device on the head drum on this Sony SL-F25, and this was actually going through final testing, and the head drum motor actually sounded really rough, and the picture was black and white with, you could see the edges of the picture sort of pulling in with sort of dots in it, and just really weird. It almost looked like a really odd head clog. And it's sort of pulling in, I could hear it really labouring. It was still playing relatively okay, but obviously it was it was really pushing hard. And then it just slowly ground to a halt until, you know, the heads just stopped. So usual thing when there's these Hall effect devices fail. This one was actually cleaned. This featured on the channel a while ago, this machine. I think I found a new home for it, maybe. The top has been resprayed. It's not a wonderful job, but it did have some rust. And I actually found here, even though it was black paint, when I started sort of preparing this, it had actually rusted underneath the paint. You couldn't see it on the paint, but underneath it was very slightly sort of corroded. Really odd. So like I say, I cleaned the Hall effect. It's made no difference. It's failed. I think this machine hasn't been installed that brilliantly. Shouldn't affect it in any other way, to be honest, with the work I've done. But obviously that Hall effect has gone. So yeah, let's change it. Okay, so I'm going to have to remove, I'll probably remove both, to be honest, of the guide stops. One thing to note with these decks, I'll be interested to see, well, I don't know, how can I test? But with these decks, if the heads actually stop rotating, the deck doesn't stop. So luckily, I was playing a cassette and I noticed it was labouring and it failed. So fine, press stop, no problem. But if you actually press play with these, and let it play without the heads rotating, it will just play. It doesn't stop. So it's not ideal. It's sort of a bit down to the end user to stop it, and I don't know what that would do to the heads. It can't be good for them. Yeah, whether the tape would even start dragging the heads along, but obviously the heads, the tape would start sort of putting an upward pressure on the head chips, only slight, potentially, but yeah, not too sure on that one, but yeah, let's crack on. So I think with these, I mean, there is a degree of alignment anyway at the best of times, but I don't think it's going to be so bad with these. Time will tell, and oh gosh, actually an awful lot of, just wondering if this screwdriver might do better. There's a lot of varnish in there. But they do have to come off. It all has to come off. Yeah, I can bite through the varnish with this. Just don't want to damage the head of the screws. Okay, super. Don't think I have to do much else at the top at this stage, so let's turn it over and take the bottom off. So we really are in the bargain basement here. Only one screw holding the base panel on. It's just literally just locking it really, because it has lots of locking tabs. There we go. Very thin metal as well. So yeah, that's so far so good. So the next thing is to just trace these cables back through. Like I said, I'm doing this properly rather than just like removing this and chopping it off. It doesn't actually look as if I have cleaned that, but I thought I had. Or have I just done a bad job? I'm just wondering how much free cable they give, because if there's enough, I might not unplug. But I think I'm going to have to. It's just safe if you do, if you're going to drop the whole drum. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I've removed the screws. And we have cable here. This come off. So this is the head amp on the top board. So it just pulls out, and then we should have. Which is going through. Is it going through? More. So, this one, and pull that through. Double camera angle, I know. Labels just dropped off, and then we've just got one more, which is actually really terrible angles. I'm sorry about this. Is this one, and this one goes here, I think. Yeah, here. Pull that. Fortunately, we've got to cut another cable tie, which is fine. No, Sony have not been kind. It does go through that cable tie, so I'm gonna have to cut it and pull out. Which actually came out quite easily. I just have to get this loom back in and cable tied, which is fine. So if I can get it back in there for now, just keep it fairly tidy, that would be nice. Super. So we can now drop the drum. Okay, so I'm going to drop the drum. I'm just putting my hand underneath the head drum, so you can see there. All the cables I know are free. I'm just checking that. So undo 3 screws. there is the screw, the washer, and the spring for all three. So I should be able to show you on this one. So, and there's the washer. Magnetized screwdriver is very useful. So you want to make sure that you're putting all three of those out for each one, which came off in one piece. And then we should be able to just drop this down and out of the machine like so. Ta-da! One drum. Well, it's actually some strange contamination there, so good opportunity to clean that off. Some odd contamination there as well, so that's actually quite useful to be able to clean that off. So yeah, cool. Okay, next thing is removing the magnets. I will say generally, I did forget this, I tend to loosen these off while they're still on the machine, just because it's more stable, but it doesn't really matter. If you're confident enough to do it, it's fine just to whip this off. Ordinarily, fingers each side, whip it off, job's a good one. So we'll do that next. So let's get the bottom of the magnet off, or the bottom of the motor off. So holding the magnet assembly, 7mm spanner. Gosh, that's tight. There we go. That was really tight. In a lot of ways I'd be better off using a socket on this, a 7mm socket, but my trusty spanner always seems to do the trick, so sort of always worried about rounding off the nut, but it hasn't happened yet, so always get the washer off, otherwise when you try and lift this off, the washer will sometimes fail the thread. There we go. So I didn't clean that whole effect. If I had, this wouldn't have happened. So that's really bad on me, to be fair. Bit of an odd machine, because I remember sort of initially overhauling this, and I think I just fixed it. I didn't overhaul it. It was in my mind to do it, and I just didn't do it. So now we've got this thing where this does just lift off, but Sony do put glue, so it's a little bit of a rock. What I'm trying to avoid is actually distorting this metal bracket. There we go. And then around this side we've got a clip. And we can lift the motor electronics out. So there we go. You don't have to strip this down anymore. There's 4 solder joints there, which I will now remove. I don't know what time we're up to. I'm sort of hoping to do this in an hour. So just going to put a load of solder on there. And then use solder mop. I have got a desoldering iron, but It's actually quite late at night. And it's quite noisy. So, because this is glued in, I have to hack it out a bit. So, see there, round dot on the Hall effect device. Needs to be facing up. So, no mark on the back of it. Round circle on the front of it. Faces up. Get it the wrong way, it probably won't work. Get it the wrong way, it won't work because it'll be connected incorrectly. Okay, so now I need to clean all this glue off. So the glue becomes conductive, and in the end it just stresses out the Hall effect too much. Looks like I'm just going to be able to hack this out. Got some tweezers. Just trying to avoid scratching the coils of the motor as well. Well, that's actually pretty clean. So that's actually pretty perfect. Excellent. So one of the very few of these I have left. And I probably have less than I'm going to need. So let's use a screwdriver just to stray hair, just to get the curve. And then what I do is I push it past 90 degrees, and the reason I do that is so I'm not going to glue this back in, but when it's mounted in and soldered, this will mechanically be tight down to the plastic assembly. So leg forward. I'm just literally matching the pattern in there, so you can see as it goes in, leg forward, leg back, leg forward, leg back. I might just have spread them quite enough. That's gone straight in. I just hadn't spread them far enough apart. So that's located nicely. See the circle there facing up. All four wires have come through nicely, so we can solder that up. He picked up their heads thinking it was a drummer solder. Yeah, well done. That would have been a crazy way to damage a head chip. Thought it was a drummer solder. I was slightly concerned that my soldering iron might be on the way out, because last time it just hasn't been melting solder very well. I know they say a bad workman blames his tools, but last time it did this, it just seemed to be unreliable. melting solder. It was just before the element popped. So I'm hoping it's that's not the case now. So there we have it. I'll just check it and get it back together. So yeah, just giving it a quick check just to make sure I haven't shorted anything and putting this back together. So it's back in here. I'll just give that a gentle pull, make sure it's right, to make sure that the whole thing is in the right place, which it is. Now possibly you could argue I should really clean off the old glue, because there is a slight risk that the motor assembly won't sit correctly putting it back. But to be honest, I've never really had a problem, as long as you haven't distorted the metal, and this can be glued as well, but as long as you haven't distorted it, it should run fine. If you have done something to distort this, or the glue causes a problem, you'll find this will rub against there. Be aware of this washer as well, it always falls out. So usually it sort of comes out when you pull that off. If you miss that washer, you'll get the same thing. The magnets will drag on the coils. So it's always worth, before you put it all back in the machine, just making sure that everything is okay. As tight as I dare. That's actually running fine. Super. So what I want to do next is I want to clean all of that off. I'm going to use a cotton wool bud, obviously being very careful not to get anywhere near the head chips. I don't like cotton wool buds near heads, but sometimes they are a good tool. So let's move the iron out of the way. It is a bit of a funny one on these because it's like a sticky residue. So I don't know quite what's happened there. But certainly needs to be done. Okay, so giving it a jolly good clean. There's a couple of little scratches on the drum, which I did notice before actually. And a very strange mark, you can see it there. Now I don't know what that's all about. I can't actually feel it. I have tried to sort of remove it, but it's not. I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, we'll see. So let's get it back in the machine. Okay, so I need to lift the machine up and place head drum underneath, somewhere in the right sort of position, because it is going to swing about because it's on its fan motor. And just get the cables, all the cables back through, and then sort of line it all back up. So I'm literally just lifting this back in place in the reverse way that I took it out, and so just try and get it central where the cables come through. here, which you can't really see that well, that is a bit of a guide, because that will sort of give you a bit of a prompt as to how it should locate, and then you'll see the holes, 3 mounting holes, sort of marry up as well. And that's it, that's in. And oh dear, didn't prepare this very well. Good idea to have your screws, springs and washers ready to go, which I hadn't quite done. Go. So route the cables, cable tie. Okay, so let's turn the deck over and get those reconnected. So that one goes here. So that's the head motor. Then we've got this one. Do you remember had a cable tie around it, and which we will reinstate. I don't know whether it terribly matters, but it did actually run underneath all of these. I mean, it doesn't matter because, well, it just doesn't. So the cable tie for here. Just trying to make sure that all the cables are actually going to be caught by this. It feels like they are. Yep, there we go. Let's get everything back in there. I mean, that cable hasn't gone underneath quite like I sort of wanted to get it, but it doesn't matter. So I can't see it matters. Let's trim that excess off. So that one goes over the board and plugs in over here. There's actually a little bit of slack on that. So over here, the pin connector, just help if I get it the right way, like so. And then this goes into the head amp. And pop the can lid back on. I think that's got it. Yeah, it just didn't feel very positive. So there we have it. we are done. So I suppose we better give it a check. Okay, so here it goes. Let's power it on. I feel like I've forgotten something. Hopefully we'll be alright. Just trying to find a cassette as well, which I know I can play. Well, that's immediately working. So this cassette is not the best. It's right at the beginning, but there we go. There's a picture. What's it sound like?
This is Mike Canning for BBC News in Melbourne. Merry Christmas.
And that's all from us on this Christmas Day. God bless. Good night.
Yeah, not too bad.
Good evening to you once again. We're on the snow
it's working.
But if
It's
you did want
working
snow,
well.
North Africa was the place to be, and that sounds incredible. They did have quite a lot of snow showers today and some thunderstorms as well, and you can see the bad weather, these patches of cloud running down through the Mediterranean. In fact, the Mediterranean is not the place to be. It's very cold indeed. Now, closer to home, we've got this system here which brought all the rain across southern.
So tracking left and tracking right. And John Ketley there, blimey, he's a weatherman. If you're in the UK, you'll probably get that reference. So yeah, there we go. Working fine, working really well actually. Working better than ever. I mean that's the thing. When you take the whole drum out, you can give it such a great clean. And if you're so minded, take the heads off as well. Resurface the lower drum. I mean, the drums weren't bad on this. The drum surfaces. I had already done the upper drum anyway, but the lower drum was not that bad, and the upper wasn't that bad, to be honest. But wow, I mean, still, you're not going to expect too much, are you? But it ain't bad, considering. I'm sure I can make it. It's actually doing a really good job. It's really not bad. Third time's a charm. Yeah, so it's actually doing well. Forward picture search. Reverse. A little bit of snow in Scotland. Oh, Boxing Day. So yeah. So with that, I think I managed to do it within the hour. It's a little bit odd because I had to do this over 2 nights, but I was fitting it in between doing other stuff. So some of which you can see at the back there. So I'm just going to butt into this bit of the video. This is post completing this machine video. Me. I forgot to put these on, and although with playback and everything else, it'll be absolutely fine. It will be actually stressing the tape. You might have actually spotted in the video, the previous section, it was sort of stressing a bit here. So see there, guides have gone in fine, and what we're looking for, I'd sort of put them back where I think they should be. But what you're looking for is absolutely no distortion on the tape, and a good way to test that once and for all, to rewind the cassette. You can see, a bit noisy, but you can see there, it is actually, it looks a bit dirty. Yeah. But you see there, it's running absolutely fine. So yeah, it might not make any difference when you're actually playing back a cassette, but it will make a lot of difference to the actual health of your tapes if you miss this out. So make sure you get it right. Just double check that you've got no creasing. Make a note of how they are sat. You can see I've got it pretty much how it was when I took it apart, and we've got no creasing. And obviously just make sure that you get these screws fairly tight as well. You don't want them shifting. So yeah, back to the video. And lots more on an HF3000 to come. But with that, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in another video. Bye for now.